Good morning and welcome to our Form Simplicity webinar. This is Robert Rodriguez with the Miami Association of Realtors. I want to thank everyone for joining us. This is our Form Simplicity webinar scheduled for 1 hour. Today we will be going over the general usage of Form Simplicity, how to fill out contracts, how to create transactions, and how to use the electronic signature, which is known as the e-sign. Please remember we have webinars scheduled almost every week at different times of the week. Later on today, we will be having the Form Simplicity webinar in Spanish, en español, hosted by Connie Nieto, and this will begin sharply at 2 p.m. You can always find our webinars schedule at miamire.com. By logging into the event calendar, look for the preferred date and time would you like to join us, and feel free to take our class. Let's go ahead and begin. So Form Simplicity is a contracts program or transaction management program offered to you by the Florida Realtors, your state membership here at the association. Every single form, addendum, disclosure is inside of Form Simplicity, and we will be showing you how to access these forms and how to fill them out. You can access Form Simplicity from your Miami dashboard by logging into miamire.com, the Miami Gateway, and then scroll down and look for Form Simplicity. This is one way you can access the Florida Realtors and Form Simplicity. Another way would be from inside of Matrix. I want to go ahead and show you Matrix right here. And if you are in the home page, you will find Form Simplicity inside of the external links by looking for the logo of Form Simplicity. Now, from inside of a particular listing, you can also locate Form Simplicity simply by looking at the icons that you will have listed across the top of the listing, and locate the FS logo for Form Simplicity, and this will in turn transfer all the data from this listing into Form Simplicity, allowing you to begin a contract right away. Let's go ahead and access Form Simplicity right away. So here we are. This is the home page for Form Simplicity. You guys will notice a difference in mine and in yours. I already have the e-sign upgraded. Therefore, there is no promotional material down here asking us to upgrade for e-sign. The e-sign is easily attainable by paying a $59 a year fee for unlimited e-sign usage, or you can access or upgrade to the Miami Platinum Plus, which will give you access to the e-sign, a second MLS like Rapatoni or Matrix, also give you access to the premium Proxio product, and our newest service, the Cloud CMA, which is also included in the Platinum Plus for only $179 additional each year. So hopefully you guys can find this very useful. I know it is very useful, and I highly recommend that we all upgrade to the Platinum Plus. So going back to Form Simplicity from the homepage, we will be carrying a full training today. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop in a message in our chat, and we will answer your questions towards the end of the session. Beginning with Form Simplicity and our preferences, you want to go ahead and access the preferences, which is on the upper right corner of your Form Simplicity page. In this screen, you guys will be setting up your email signature. So every time you send out emails to Form Simplicity, it already carries an email signature with your basic information like your name, your title, company you work with, and your contact information. Make sure you hit Save Changes when you're finished. You want to let people, you want to let Form Simplicity know to notify you via email anytime you receive a fax through the system, anytime broker submittals are approved or rejected, when you receive an email attachment or when a task is due, Form Simplicity will remind you via email. Once again, you want to go ahead and hit Save Changes. So these changes have been captured and then remembered for the next time. And then we want to take you back to the home page right here where it says Home. Now, if you look over here, we have the menu item, which is library. This is where normally you will find all the forms. You have the active transaction where all of your active files will be stored. Once you have finished your transactions, you can archive them. This is where the archive is located. These are contacts. You will load contacts that are to be used during your transaction, like buyers and sellers. You'll look over here, packages. This is where you get to group forms for your next transaction, like a sales transaction or maybe a listing transaction. You'll get to create your own packages. Your tasks, this is where you get to load your task. So this is more of a task manager. We'll be going over this. Your clauses, you get to set up clauses predetermined so you can use them at a later date. My Files acts like a storage facility, like a Dropbox, where you get to load files and have them in there and share them with your contacts at any time. And then, of course, your help. In help, you guys can go and it opens a new window, which allows you to access a whole online help section, a knowledge base, getting started. You got how-to videos and pre-recorded webinars and trainings. And if you ever needed to call Form Simplicity, you will click over here where it says Tech Helpline. And this is a full service tech support number, which is 407-587-1450. I'm going to repeat, this is a full service tech support line, which is 407-587-1450. By clicking on library, you access the full library of the Florida Realtors forms, plus the Miami Association forms. Bear with us, the internet seems to be a little slow. Here we go. And once inside the you will all forms, and you will also see forms packages. Now, looking at my library, you have the Board of Miami Association of Realtors, which is our internal documents or forms like the MLS input forms and also the membership applications and the status change and transfer applications. These are the Miami Association forms, which you have access to the Board of Miami Association of Realtors. Also, you guys will notice a Florida folder and a Fannie Mae folder. Inside of the Florida folder, you guys will notice every single form document that is provided to you by the Florida Association of Realtors. Now, some of you will also notice a separate folder with your company's name. All this means is that your company has created a folder and uploaded their own documents into your library. If this is the case, please feel free to use these forms in order to conduct your transaction, because this is what your broker in your office would like you to do. Now, looking at the Florida forms, this is the Addendum to Contract followed by the As Is. So you'll notice it's in alphabetical order. Now, you can flip the order by clicking on Title, and it'll be in alphabetical order in reverse dial. Now, we don't want you to be looking through the entire list of forms in order to find the form. You can always come up here to the very upper right corner where it says Find Form, and you can go ahead and type in, for example, if I'm looking for a listing agreement, I will type in the word listing, hit Find, and what I've got is listing agreement right here, exclusive right of sale listing agreement, no brokerage, single agent, and the listing agreement transaction broker. If I was looking for a contract for purchase, I'm going to go ahead and put in the word purchase, and we're going to go ahead and find the residential contract for sale and purchase, which is the CRS P15. Also, you'll be looking for the As Is residential contract for sale and purchase, which is right here as well. So if you wanted to print this contract in blank and then fill it out at a later time, all you would need to do is select, go up to the select the command feature, and then hit print. If you needed to email or download a copy of this contract without filling it out, you would also hit email or download. Now, if you wanted to fill out this contract from inside of Form Simplicity, all you would need to do is click on the name of the contract, and it will open up the contract in a PDF format, allowing you to fill in the blanks. What we mean by filling in the blanks is that any line that is available for you to fill in, you would write the person's name and you would fill in the entire contract from your computer. After you are finished filling in the entire contract, you have the option to print on the upper right corner. You also have a save feature, which allows you to save this contract, and then you have the option to escape, which is this one right here. I'm going to go ahead and save, and when you decide you want to save this contract, Form Simplicity will ask you in which transaction, if you already have one created, would you like to save this contract to, or would you like to create a new transaction? In this case, I'm going to go ahead and create one called FS Webinar, and then hit save. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and exit out and show you where this new transaction called FS Webinar is located. If you go to the upper part of your menu items and you click on active, it should be the first one that shows up, FS Webinar, created today on May 8th. And if we click on the FS Webinar, you will see the one document you saved inside of Form Simplicity. Now, if you wanted to add more forms to this transaction, you will come over here to the lower left and you will hit Add Forms to Transaction, select the forms. You can select multiple forms at the same time, and then you would click on Add to Transaction and you would click on Save. Now we have two forms in our transaction. If you wanted to delete a form from inside of a transaction, you will select the form, you will hit Select Command, and then you would hit Delete. If you needed to delete the entire transaction, please keep in mind you will lose all documents inside the transaction. You will go to the upper right corner from within the transaction. You will find the Delete Transaction link. You will select, and notice in red you have a warning letting you know that you will lose everything inside this transaction. You will confirm to delete the transaction and everything will be wiped out. Let's go ahead and show you. Back into active, you will notice there is no FS Webinar transaction inside of Form Simplicity. So let's go ahead and discuss how we can begin a transaction from inside of Form Simplicity. You'll look over here where it says active, and then right here you will find in green new transaction, create new transaction. We're going to go ahead and give it a name. In this case, I'm working with a buyer who would like to purchase this property, 1036 Palermo Avenue. And we're going to go ahead and name the transaction the same as the address, and then we're going to hit save. You got 1036 Palermo Avenue. If you ever wanted to edit the name of the transaction, you come over here, edit, and in this case, I'm going to go ahead and hyphenate this and put my name. And then hit update. Now you'll notice that the name of the transaction has been changed to 1036 Palermo Avenue, hyphenated, and then Robert Rodriguez. To open your transaction, you will select the name of the transaction, and you'll notice a transaction that has been opened with the name of the transaction and no forms or files. To populate the information into the transaction, you will always go to Content. Now, there's two ways to get this done. You can actually put in an MLS number here, or you can search from tax records for the property information. We're going to go ahead and drop in the MLS number here where it says MLS search, put in A10303191. We're going to import MLS, and you will see right away the listing for $719,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home in Coral Gables. We're going to select, and you guys will notice that all the information for the transaction has been populated. The other way we can do this is from inside of Form Simplicity, from inside of the MLS, you will locate the listing and then click on Form Simplicity and this will also open a transaction with the current information. As I mentioned, the other way to do it from inside of Form Simplicity would be to enter the property address, the county, the city, state, and zip code, or the parcel ID, and you would be able to locate the property and auto-pop the information from the tax record. All right, so let's go ahead and fill this out. So it's asking us to fill in the blanks. We have a listing price of $719,000, and if we are the buyer agent, we're going to be filling out a contract to place an offer, and our client would like to purchase this property for $700,000. So we're going to put in here $700,000. You don't have to put in the commas, or you can put in the commas. It doesn't really matter. And then you look at the MLS listing number. Now the seller landlord. The seller landlord is normally picked up from the tax record. So if I wanted to know who the seller was, I can come up here to where it says house, and I can put in 1036, street name, Palermo, and then put in over here avenue, and then put in 33134, and come here and choose Miami-Dade County. Find tax data. You will see the 1036 Palermo Avenue with the parcel ID. And what you guys will notice now is that the seller landlord has been placed over here, Grace Caricarte. So we've picked up the information from the tax roll. Now, notice how the listing price was removed because we're now using tax roll to populate. So let's go ahead and put it in, $719,000, and our purchase price, which was $700,000. Moving on down below, you're going to go ahead and put in your buyer information. So in this case, my buyer will be Robert Rodriguez. And if it's Robert Rodriguez and a second party, you can go ahead and put in and the second party who would be buying this property. You'll fill in the rest of the information. You'll fill in your brokerage name. In this case, in mine, it's the Miami Association of Realtors. Your broker name. And your name down here. Now this information is also populated from the MLS, but once again, since I used the auto pop from the tax search, the MLS information has been erased. So you have to use either one or the other. Now once you finish populating the information, you want to hit Save Information to Transaction, and all the content fields have been filled out. Our next step is to add forms to the transaction. So we're going to come here, we're going to hit Add Forms to Transaction, and in this case, I would like to add the as-is contracts and also an addendum to the contract. I will select Add to Transaction, Save. In the event that you wanted to add more forms to the transaction, again, we drop down to the lower left corner of your transaction. We will select Add Forms to Transaction. We will look for the form by selecting Find Form, and let's go ahead and look for the CRSP and find, and what we've got is the contract for sale and purchase right over here. We'll select that one, add to transaction, and save. Now we have two sales contracts in here, allowing me to use one or the other. What we're going to do is that we're going to open up one of these contracts and show you that the information has been populated onto the form. So you guys will notice once the form is open that the seller and the buyer and the property information, the legal description, the folio number, everything has been uploaded into the contract. You will then write in the rest: escrow agent's name, escrow agent's address, phone number, deposit, if you, when you get to the section where you're putting in the closing dates, you're going to come over here and you're going to open this and select a closing date during a calendar. Let's try and close on June 26th. And the rest of the information on the contract is to be filled out by you guys. I will let you guys see the next to last page, where we can fill out the additional terms. And you will see a large blank space allowing you to fill out additional terms. There you go. All right, so here you can write anything like additional terms that apply to this purchase will be written on this contract. And then you'll notice here the buyer signature, the buyer print name, buyer signature, buyer print name, buyer's address. Then you have the seller signature and the seller print name. Now we're going to go ahead and save this by hitting save. And we've auto-populated the information into the transaction. Now into the contract, sorry. I'm going to go ahead and hit close. And let me just show you the addendum to contract that we also uploaded. Will also carry the seller name, the buyer name, and also the address of the property and a large space for you to write in your blank addendum. Let's close this out. Now, when uploading contracts into a transaction by selecting Add Forms to Transaction, there is another option, and that is Forms Packages. Some of your brokers have already predetermined some packages for you guys to use. So you will look under brokerage wide under Forms Packages, and if you see a sales package or a lease package or a rental package or a listing package, you would select that package, and each and every form that is part of this package will be populated once you select it and you hit Create Transaction from Selected Package. You are using the existing 1036 Palermo Avenue transaction, and you would hit Save. So that would be another way to add forms into your transaction. Now, of course, I'm not going to do this now since I already have forms in here. Let's go ahead and close. Now, if there's an additional file that you wish to upload into your transaction, you will always look for files. See, forms up here are always the original documents that originate from Form Simplicity. The files are uploads. So you will drop down to Files, look to the right where it says Add Files. You will upload a file. What this means is you will use your computer's browser in order to upload files, documents, PDF files, and so on and so forth. Again, files, add files, upload a file. You're going to also notice that every time we use the e-sign, or every time someone sends you an email to your Form Simplicity or a fax to your Form Simplicity, you'll notice that your files will be populated with those documents that are sent to you. So let's discuss what we can do with this contract that we've already filled out. So looking over here, we will select the contract, and you're going to go to the upper right corner of the transaction, and you will hit Print if you wish to print this document. You will hit Email if you wish to email. So let's go ahead and email this document right now, selecting the email address of the person I want to send it to. Put in a subject. I'm going to go ahead and put in this contract for purchase. Notice the email signature has already been placed inside the message, and a brief little message with instructions on how they can send it back to us by emailing this address. This is a unique email address that is created for each transaction that you have active inside Form Simplicity. You can opt in to send an email to yourself. You will always lock forms, so you do not allow them to make any changes to the forms. And if you wish to use a fax back cover sheet, you can also attach a fax back cover sheet. We will hit email, and the system will successfully email this form to the email that you wish. Now, moving on to what else can we do with this contract? You can select command, and then you can also hit fax. You can fax to any fax number in the entire U.S. at no cost. There's no cost to use the fax service. All you need to do is put in the area code and the fax number and hit fax, sort of like an e-fax. Moving on, you can also delete the forms, you can download the forms, you can copy the forms to a different transaction. This will allow you to merge this transaction with another one if you'd like. Anyone who has the e-sign service that you get through Form Simplicity can also use the e-sign. Now, before we actually start using the e-sign, I'd like to show you a cool little feature that Form Simplicity has for us. So let's say I wanted to share several items with my broker, or maybe I want to share several items with the mortgage lender or the title agency. All we need to do is come to the right and select share. Okay. So we're sharing these two files, and then we're going to go to sharing and negotiating, and we're going to add party. And when we add party and we write in the person's email address, you are inviting them to view, send share link. You are inviting them to view only those two files. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my email and show you. So right here is the original PDF that was sent, and, which was the 1036 Palermo. Now, if you look over here, this is the share link. I just sent Robert, my client, I just shared, and this is what happens. A Form Simplicity transaction will open up with them the ability to open each form that I shared with them in a read-only format. They can, of course, drop a comment over here, and of course, I will see it, every comment that they have. But once again, this is an easy way to share documents with a recipient without giving them access to edit any file. Let me go ahead and recap how we got this done. From your transaction inside of your forms, you will mark which forms you would like to share, and then you'll go to sharing and negotiating. You will add a party, and once you add the person's email address and send a share link, they will receive a link that allows them to open files in this format, 1036 Palermo Avenue, with no ability to edit, only the ability to print or download, or of course, view the contract. Now, at any time you wish to suspend the sharing, all you need to do is right here where it says sharing and negotiating for Robert, you would remove the active, and the next time the person tries to open these files, it is no longer available, as you will see. The sharing link has been disabled. Please contact the agent who sent you the link to request that it is enabled. Now, if you only wanted to remove one file, let's go ahead and activate this. Go back to 1036 Palermo Avenue, and let's remove one of the two files. Let's remove this file. And the next time the person goes and tries to access the link, they'll notice that instead of two forms, they have one form. So it is a fully live, cloud-based system where you're inviting people to view the forms. So this is especially great when working with multiple people in your party. You can just go to sharing and negotiating and add as many people in your party as you like, and everyone has access to your forms. All right, let's go back to the transaction itself. And now if you want to use the e-sign, you will select the form you like to set up e-sign with, and then come up here to where it says select command. We're going to use the e-sign, and folks, notice how mine says create a session. That means I already have the e-sign. uploaded to my Form Simplicity. Again, as a recap, Form Simplicity has the e-sign available for $59 per year for unlimited use, or you can simply upgrade to the Miami Platinum Plus for $179 a year additional, and you can gain access to a second MLS like Rapatoni or Matrix. You can also have access to the e-sign Proxio Premium and also the brand new Cloud CMA service from the Miami Association of Realtors. Now, once the e-sign is up and running, we're going to go ahead and click on Create Session, and this usually takes about 30 seconds to upload. So in the meantime, I'd like for you guys to know that we have live Form Simplicity classes at our board almost every month. Please log on to our calendar, MiamiRE.com, and look for our live Form Simplicity training taught by my colleague Connie Nieto, and in some sessions myself. Now, looking at the e-sign, we're inside of the e-sign now, and we're looking at the transaction name, which is 1036 Palermo Avenue, and we're going to go ahead and name the session. I'm going to call this FS Webinar. You can write a little message here like, please review and sign documents All right, folks, we apologize. It seems that I briefly lost connection, but it looks like I'm back in. I'm going to go ahead and continue with the e-signing session. So if you look over here, signer sequencing, once again, this is to send to one signer at a time in order if you have multiple signers, or if you like to send to all at once, you will select send to all signers. Now, if you'd like to include yourself as a signer, so for example, if you're looking at a listing agreement where you need to sign, then you can include yourself as a signer right here. I'll allow signers to delegate to another person. If your buyer would like their attorney to help them sign the contract, then you can delegate to another person right here. If you want to set up an expiration dates for your signing, you can do so as well. This means that if I say this form needs to be signed by May 10th, then we will be sending out a one-day reminder, or a reminder one day before, and we're going to go ahead and hit next. Now, if you don't want an expiration, simply don't select an expiration date. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and hit next. Now, so this next step for signers is to add signers. So who would be signing this? We're going to go ahead and click on Add Signer and put in Robert Rodriguez's name. And Robert's email address. Now, if your signer is actually in front of you, you can enjoy the convenience of in-person signing through SMS authentication. And all you need to do is select signing in progress, and the system will allow you to send them an authentication message through text, which is what SMS means, and they would be able to sign in person. I highly recommend that if it's signing in person, that you have a touch screen computer, allowing them to actually create their own signature. Not necessary. You can also use the e-sign, the regular e-sign if they're signing in person. Now, if they're not signing in person, you don't have to do the signing in person. You simply will send them an email, and you'll look here sequence. So if you were doing more than one signer, you can select a sequence. Now, in this case, I'm only doing one signer, which will be myself. I'm acting as the buyer today, and we're going to go ahead and hit next. Right here, you will select buyer number 1 would be Robert Rodriguez. If I had a second buyer, I would be selecting the second buyer. If I also was representing my sellers, of course, I would be adding my sellers' names over here and email address so they would sign, and then I would select the sellers. In this case, I'm not representing the seller. So we only have Robert Rodriguez as the sole buyer for this property. We will select next. All right, here we go. Moving on through the e-sign process. We have the one contract that I chose for e-signing. From this page, you can select to add more files in the event that you forgot to add a file. You can always come here and add more files. We're going to select this contract, and then we're going to go ahead and hit next. You'll notice the contract opens up inside of the e-sign. Now, folks, you guys will notice that every single initials has already been highlighted in orange, and this is where your buyers will be initialing. And every single field where the signature also goes, you will notice it highlighted as well, which indicates that your client, Robert Rodriguez, will be e-signing here, and then your date here on the right as well. Now, notice the tools that are on the left and the right of your document. I'd like to go ahead and show you how to use these tools. So, if you like to apply an initial field, let's say you needed to drop an initial field over here. Look on the left, you have signature, initials, date and time. All right, so we're going to go ahead and select initials, drag, and place it right there. And your client, Robert Rodriguez, will also be asked to initial this page. If you needed to drop an signature field, you would also do the same by dropping in a signature field. Notice how there's a little red X next to each field, allowing you to remove this field if you placed it by mistake. Now, if you needed to place a text, you can come here to the upper right, click and drag the text, and now you can go ahead and put in the person's name, adding text to your PDF. If you needed to strike through a line, you have the strike through, which is over here. You also have underline, and you also have highlight. So let's go ahead and show you how to use strike through. You will click on the strike through. You'll notice the red line. You're going to go ahead and drag, place it on top of the line you wish to cross out, and then on the right edge of your strike through line, you're going to go ahead and stretch it out, and effectively crossing out line number 69. Now you will repeat this step for each line. Unfortunately, it's not going to strike through the entire paragraph, so you would actually have to. It's a little tricky. I'm pretty sure that you guys will end up practicing some. Once you get the hang of it, it would be easy for you. Now, like I said, you won't be able to strike through an entire paragraph, so it has to be line by line. And then, of course, placing initials for your client to go ahead and initial. Now, if you wish to underline, you can go ahead and come here, and let's go ahead and underline this section right here. And once again, I'm going to stretch it out. And if you'd like to highlight, I'm going to go ahead and highlight this field as well. So we are setting up our contract with all kinds of notices and notifications for our client to read. Once you're finished, then you're going to hit next. You're going to hit yes. Our next step would be, of course, to preview what you've done. If you're satisfied with everything that you have put in here, then you're going to go ahead and finalize the e-sign by finishing the message that you started typing up at the beginning. If there's no more messages to write, go ahead and hit finish, and then we will wait for the client to receive the email and for the client to also sign. So in this case, since I used myself as a client, you guys will notice right away Form Simplicity asking me to sign this contract. What actually happens is that the client will receive an email from you asking them to sign the document by clicking on the link that would say review and sign, and it would open up Form Simplicity in this format. So pretend that I received the email, that I clicked on the link, and now I'm inside of Form Simplicity getting ready to sign this document. It is important that you guys practice by yourselves so you understand the process of the e-sign and you're able to explain to your clients just how it works. So right here we've got my name, Robert Rodriguez. I would be the buyer. Here would be my initials. This is my legal name. And you can go with one of these default signatures or initials, or you can choose to draw your own signature or initials. And again, I highly recommend that if you do have a touchscreen computer, then go ahead and do this because it's not that easy, as you can imagine, with a mouse. I'm going to go ahead and choose one of these signatures right here. Let's look for a nice one. Here we go. We're going to go ahead and go with this one. And now what actually makes this signing session legal is the authentication via email, which means Robert Rodriguez would have received an email from the agent, or if they're signing in person, the SMS text message that will ask them to confirm that they indeed will be the ones signing it. And then, of course, they would be agreeing to the terms and conditions, the consumer disclosure for this signature. Once they agree, then they're going to hit start. And folks, even if they don't, even if there's a language barrier and they don't understand how to do this, I don't foresee any issues. They can always review the contract before they start signing, so they don't have to sign this. They can review it. If there's something they don't agree with, they do not have to sign this. But once they are ready to sign, then they will come up here and they will hit start. The system actually takes them step by step. So you'll notice right here, the first initial goes. Once I click, RR has been applied, then next. And folks, all I'm doing is clicking on next. The system will take me to every field that needs to be initialed. Please notice how easy this is. And whether they are located in your city, another state, or another country, signing happens this fast. Now, once they are finished, it says all required fields have been completed. Would you like to complete your signing session? And then, of course, they will hit yes. In the event they miss a page or they miss an initial, the system will not give them this message. The system would actually let them know that they missed one initial or two initials, and the little wizard would actually take them to the initials they missed, having them completed. Again, once they are actually complete, then they can go ahead and say, yes, we accept, and that's it. Very easy signing process. Your client will receive an email with their document already signed, and then, of course, you, the agent, will also receive an email from Form Simplicity letting you know this document has been signed. Now I'm going to go ahead and close the e-sign. I will go back to home, and we're going to go ahead and look up the transaction under active. And folks, you guys will notice inside of the 1036 Palermo Avenue transaction, under files, you will see new documents. So as I mentioned before, when we use the e-sign, when we use the fax back cover sheet, or when someone emails me a form to the designated email for this transaction, we receive everything under files. So right here we have the FS Webinar COA. This would be the Certificate of Authenticity, which is certifies the signatures to be legal. And right here we have the form. If I decide I want to open it, I'm going to go ahead and click, and here's the form signed by my buyer with the electronic sign using e-sign session ID at the bottom of every page. This will authenticate the signatures to be legal and to be done correctly. So this is a PDF already with all the initials and signatures, including the date and time this was actually signed. Now let's go ahead and show you the Certificate of Authenticity. We're going to go ahead and click on this one, and you will see what this means. It's got the signing session ID, transaction name 1036 Palermo with the name of the client, created on the date and time, so it's got a date and time stamp. Right here it says the signature was Robert Rodriguez from IP address. So notice the IP address is the physical online computer where the person was signing from. And then it says this session was completed and closed by Robert Rodriguez. And of course, the invitation was sent to robertr@miamire.com. So everything's actually in here. This is a fully valid e-sign session. Now, if we needed to forward this to another client, or maybe perhaps forward it now to the listing agent as an offer, you will select both files and come up here and hit select command. Then you can email it, you can share it, or you can also use the e-sign as well if you're forwarding it to another party that you are doing business with. All right. So now that we have our documents in here, and you'll see the difference. You see originals up here, and then you will see your signed documents in here. You will work your transaction in the same format. You'll see the transaction history here, letting you know everything that you've done up to date. You have tasks, which allows you to add a task. Let's say you have an inspection due Saturday, May 12th. Then you can come here and add a task and invite people in order to, invite the people. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, inspection. Due date, let's go ahead with Saturday the 12th, add task, and you will receive a reminder once the task is getting close. We went through sharing, negotiating, and then also email history. This is the history of the emails. I've only sent one email. Now, please remember, inside of the transaction, you always have a delete transaction. This will effectively wipe out everything we just did. So please be careful and do not delete transaction if that wasn't what you were trying to do. If what you wanted to do was close out the transaction, then you simply go to active. You will select edit, and then you're going to archive it right here. Active, archive. By archiving your transaction, it doesn't mean you lost it. It just means you are now storing it in your archive file. So once you have it in your archive file, all right, you can come here, you can click, and you can view all your files and forms. However, you cannot make changes to the original forms. These are locked. Can you transfer over the files into an active? Of course you can. You can go back to the archived, and same way you transferred it, you hit edit, and you can transfer it back to active. Now, folks, if you notice to the right of the edit, there's a little share button. This allows you to transaction sharing, team assignment. You're able to go ahead and share it with people that are in your party. Let's go ahead and come back home. And once again, that was the exercise on how to work with a transaction inside Form Simplicity. We have contacts, we have packages, we have tasks. Notice that I added a task for Saturday, and somewhere here we should have May 12th. 2018 inspection, 1036 Palermo Avenue. That would be the name of the transaction and your task. Clauses, you guys can create clauses that you can later use inside of any form by selecting add new clause, the name, what would be the clause, what would be the content of the clause, and hit save. My Files, as I mentioned before, serves as a document storage. You guys can upload files simply by coming over here where it says select command. Yep, nope, not there. You're going to come over here where it says upload file, and then you can store files in there, which once you have your files in here like this, you can select, and then you can come here, hit select command, and you can email your files, you can fax your files, you can delete or download your files. All right, my files, my faxes, my e-sign. Notice my e-sign has all my saved files that come from e-sign right inside of my e-sign. And then my email, your emails sent to me as well, are located inside of my files. Now, folks, keep in mind that we are recording this webinar. It will be available to you through our Facebook pages, our YouTube pages. So you guys can also refer to this at a later time and learn at your own pace by clicking pause and play. And make sure that you also register to one of our Form Simplicity trainings at our association offices so you can learn on a hands-on basis. Before we end this session, I'd like to invite you over to our Form Simplicity training taught this afternoon at 2 p.m. This will be in Spanish if you prefer to take it in Spanish. And please look through Miami Association of Realtors event calendar and look for the upcoming webinars, which are going to be held each week for the different tools and services. Also, make sure to let us know what you think of our webinars. You can go to our Facebook pages, comment, give us a review. We definitely like to hear from you. I want to go ahead and thank everyone for attending today's course. If you guys have any questions, I'm available through the chat. I will look at our chat right here and notice that so far so good, no questions. So I will stay inside of the webinar for a few more minutes after we close out to make sure that we answer all of your questions. Once again, thank you everyone for attending. Have a beautiful day, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.